Hello, and welcome to Own Your Retirement. My name is Albert Lalonde from Kaizen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen. And while on my website, click on my podcast page and check out our past shows or to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Okay. During my career, I've heard frequently from clients who are leaving their current job or making a different change and are concerned about what to do with their current retirement accounts. And who can blame them? After all, this is money needed for a healthy retirement. Now, during today's show, we're going to discuss two key topics about your retirement accounts. One, rolling over, and two, staying put. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host, Tony Shore, who I'm told has already decorated his house and front yard for Halloween, right?
I will tell you this, Albert. There is a neighbor of ours that literally had their stuff up mid-August for their
Ay, ay,
Halloween.
ay.
Mid-August for Halloween.
Wow.
Their whole front yard with little gravestones and fake spider webs and the giant skeleton that they got like at Home Depot or somewhere
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
They have that yard done up right. It's amazing, but about 2 weeks into August.
Yeah. I think every neighborhood has one that does that. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
That's so funny. Well, Albert, I'm looking forward to this show today. It's an
Yes.
interesting topic, and I think it's an important one for all our listeners out there. So, where do you want to begin?
Well, we have a lot of great stuff to get over today, but let's get rolling first by looking at 401k rollovers. Now, a Nerd Wallet article titled 401k Rollovers, a quick start guide, it actually has some excellent fuel for our conversations. At root, a 401k rollover is simply taking money out of your account and moving that money to another tax advantage retirement account. Now,
Right.
you have 60 days from when you receive the money or assets from your 401k to put them into a different retirement account. You can instead, in many cases, should choose to utilize what's called a direct rollover, however, which simply sends your money straight into a new account. Now, with the rollover, you have four options. You can move your money to an IRA, a new 401k, leave it right where it is, or cash it out. Now, each of these four options has its own unique set of tax and financial ramifications, Tony.
Well, I would imagine they do, and I think that a lot of our listeners out there, they shouldn't make these kinds of moves without working with somebody like yourself, a financial services professional. However, they are important moves to make. I mean, for some
Definitely.
people, this could help make or break your retirement. So this is important stuff. And a
Hmm.
lot of people don't know what to do with their old 401ks, or maybe they have a traditional IRA. And these rollovers, conversions, or staying put, that's a big decision people have to make, isn't it?
It is. It is. In fact, let's first look at rolling a 401k over to an IRA. Now, taking this route provides you with two possible benefits. One, more investment choices, and two, potentially lower fees. Now, breaking things down a bit further, there are three types of 401k rollovers available to you if you choose to roll your assets into an IRA. Number one is rolling over from a traditional 401k to, let's say, a Roth. I'm sorry, traditional 401k to a traditional IRA. Taxes on the money you roll over and any investment earnings are deferred until you begin withdrawals during retirement later. Now, if you closely follow the rules, you shouldn't see any immediate tax implications. Now, number two is rolling over from a traditional 401k to a Roth IRA because now you made your 401k contributions with pre-tax money and a Roth IRA uses after-tax money. There will be tax implications in this process. Specifically, you'll have to pay taxes on what you wrote over in the year of the rollover. But because you won't owe taxes on future qualified distributions from your Roth IRA, Tony, this step may warrant a meeting with your financial services professional. And then
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think, well, the Roth IRA can be huge for people, can it?
Big time, big time. And the third way, or number three, is the rollover from a Roth 401k to a Roth IRA. You won't face taxes for this rollover because a Roth 401k and a Roth IRA both utilize, well, after tax dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Which can be really nice in retirement to have your retirement funds in a non-taxable account. So even the earnings, the interest, and the principal all come out tax-free from
Yes.
a Roth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's rolling over from a 401k to an IRA.
Yep.
What do you have for us on rolling over your previous 401k to a new
Oh,
employer if somebody finds themselves in that situation?
pretty straightforward. To keep your money in one place, you can transfer the assets from a previous 401k to your new company's plan if your new plan permits it. Now, taking this step may simplify tracking how your assets are performing because everything is in one location. Now, you won't get hit with tax penalties when rolling assets from one 401k to another, so long as your money goes directly from the previous account to the current account. Now, to roll over from 401k to another, reach out to your plan administrator at your previous company, determine if direct rollovers are allowed.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to make those calls to HR,
Oh, yes.
and I would say work with a professional. A quick conversation with your former employer's HR department or plan administrators. You say that could clear up a lot of questions in just a few minutes. It really isn't that big of a deal, and it's so
Yes.
important.
Correct, correct. And then think about it. Even if you switch jobs and you can, let's say, leave your 401k with your former employer if they allow it. Now, this may be an especially good option if your former company's plan had some very solid investment options and reasonable fees. But be aware, however, there that as a former employee, you may pay bigger 401k fees and you also can't continue making contributions. And then your former employer could also move your old 401k to, let's say, a different provider. Now, if your balance is between, let's say, $1,000 and $5,000, and your former employer wants to close your account, it must transfer the money into an IRA in your name and then notify you in writing. Now, if your balance is less than $1,000, your former employer can cut you a check that you must put into a retirement account within 60 days to avoid penalties and taxes.
Yeah, and there are so many rules, Albert, with all of these. So, in the time we
Hmm.
have here, tell us about cashing out a 401k. I know that's
Oh, yeah.
an option people ask about. What about that?
Yep. Well, cashing out is an option that may come with, let's say, high cost, and like an indirect rollover, if you ask for a check, your former employer may withhold as much as 20% to pay the government for the distribution. And the IRS may also deem it as an early distribution, which could leave you with a 10% excise penalty as well as taxes.
Yeah, I mean, the point is those accounts, those retirement accounts, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, these are all retirement accounts and have the 59 and a half rule
Correct.
where you can't take them out before age 59 and a half without a penalty. And you really shouldn't, right? I mean, you should leave them in there to grow until you retire.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So let's keep it rolling. I mean, you talked about rolling your traditional 401k over to a traditional IRA,
Yep.
rolling your traditional 401k over to a Roth IRA,
Yes.
which may be a good idea now that taxes are still low before they go up. And you talked just now about rolling a Roth to another Roth, like a Roth IRA to another Roth IRA,
Yeah.
or maybe keeping your 401k at your previous employer, or do you move it to your new employer, or do you cash it out? These are the questions a lot of people have, and we're talking about how to answer them, but everybody's situation is different. So
Yes.
I think they should talk to a financial services professional like yourself, Albert, before making these decisions. What do you have for us next?
Well, let's stick with the same Nerd Wallet article, 401k Rollovers, a quick start guide. It has some more info that I think listeners will find very useful, including a rundown of just why a direct 401k rollover is so important. Now, remember, a direct rollover simply means your 401k plan writes a check to your new plan or initiates a direct transfer. If you choose an indirect rollover, then your plan administrator sends the money directly to you or initiates what they call direct, I'm sorry, to where they keep out 20%, okay, of the amount to pay for taxes on the distributions. Now, the only exception to this is if you want to establish, let's say, a Roth IRA, Tony, which requires you do pay taxes on the distribution unless those assets were already in a Roth 401k. Now, let's look at an example. Imagine that your 401k balance is, let's say, $20,000, and your former company sends you a check for $16. If you're not, I'm $16,000, I say. If
Sure.
you're not moving to a Roth IRA, you'll need to pay the $4,000 out of pocket so that $20,000 is deposited into your IRA. Then during tax
Mm.
season, the IRS will recognize that you rolled over the entire $20,000 and will refund the $4,000 that was withheld for taxes, Tony.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, this isn't for the faint of heart.
No.
And there are easy ways and hard ways to do this. So, talk to your plan administrator or HR department, talk to a financial services professional before making any moves. I mean, at least you get that $4,000 back in that
Correct.
case. I'm curious what you think about some of the biggest pros and cons. What are they when it comes to rolling over a 401k into an IRA?
Yeah,
There's got to
yeah.
be pros and cons.
Of course, like most other financial tools or options, a 401k rollover into an IRA would be an excellent move for some and the wrong move for others. Let's begin by considering some of the reasons you may want to use this kind of rollover. Now, an IRA often provides several benefits that a 401k doesn't, especially after you've left your job, which means you can't contribute more money and you're no longer utilizing your employer match. Now, first, there aren't taxes and penalties. With the direct 401k rollover into a traditional IRA, your tax obligations are deferred until you begin taking withdrawals. Second, you'll have broader investment options because you'll have access to a variety of options, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, and even exchange traded funds. Third, you may see lower costs. There are IRA providers that don't charge fees to open or maintain an account, while a lot of 401k plans charge people various administrative fees, though some employers handle those costs. Now, an IRA provider typically offers a bigger menu of investment choices, which means you may be able to choose investments with lower costs. And then fourth, a 401k rollover into an IRA provides low cost management options. You can open an IRA with a robo advisor, even, which are computer operated investment management companies that generally charge less than 0.5% to manage your account on your behalf, which simply means it picks your investments and manages them for you. Now, when it comes to choosing and opening an IRA, I'd recommend a thorough conversation with your financial service professional before making any final decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. Those certainly sound like some enticing reasons to consider rolling a 401k over to an IRA. There are a lot of pluses. So, what are some of the possible negatives?
Well, there are certainly are scenarios in which rolling over 401k into an IRA isn't the right move. First, there could be limited creditor protection. 401ks and properly handled rollover IRAs are protected in bankruptcy and against any claims from creditors. But IRA protection from creditors varies state to state, and bankruptcy protection is often limited. Now, second, there's also a loss of access to loans. Remember, a lot of 401k providers allow you to take loans from your plan, but IRAs don't permit loans at all. Third, there are required minimum distribution factors to consider. 401ks and traditional IRAs require you to begin distributions once you turn 73, but 401ks have a loophole that permits you to delay those distributions until you've actually officially retired, even if you do so after you've turned 73, Tony. And then fourth, 401ks provide the possibility of earlier access. If you leave your job, you may be able to utilize funds from your 401k as soon as you're 55, Tony. But with an IRA, on the other hand, you generally can't begin taking qualified distributions until you're 59 and a half. And then fifth, you should be aware of taxes on company stock. In many cases, company stock should be rolled over to a taxable brokerage account rather than an IRA. Furthermore, if your 401k plan contains company stock, you should discuss the matter with both your financial service professional and a tax professional.
Yeah, so it's clear some obvious pros and cons are out there when it comes to rolling a 401k over into an IRA.
Yes, yes, there are indeed. And I'm the first to recognize that we've gone over a tremendous amount of info in just the last few minutes. And I'm sure some of your heads are swimming. Well, I urge you to reach out to your financial service professional because many of them have a great deal of 401k experience that will allow them, well, to look at your current standings and your needs and goals to help you make an informed decision.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think you've covered a lot today.
Yep.
I think we're going to wrap it up here. But Albert, a great show. There's so much to this when you
Yes.
do transfers, rollovers, and even conversions. You know, some people might want to do a Roth conversion while taxes are low. And you talked a little bit about that. So if our listeners want to do this, how can they get a hold of you, Albert?
Listeners, you can visit my website at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen, or call my office at 586-752-7008 and discuss how we can answer your questions about your retirement accounts, your retirement goals, and any other elements of your financial strategy. Remember, it's our goal to help you prepare for the retirement you've worked so hard for so you can own your retirement.
Yeah, set up that no charge, no obligation consultation with Albert and his team there. Again, that number is 586-752-7008.
Yes,
And you can set up that consultation. I think that's so important because it's great to know what to do with that 401k or
correct.
if you have an IRA. All right, Albert, great show today. Listeners, that does it for today's episode of Own Your Retirement with our host, Albert Lalonde.
Take care, everybody.